Welcome to Volunteer for Israel's 134th episode of VFI Educates. Our magician Julia is with us today, as usual. Ilana is at her dad's hospital bed at the moment. She will join us at some point later on. And I've asked Pamela if she would help run the show today. Just a couple of announcements, and I think we might have a surprise or two today. First announcement is that Israel is open. Exactly 2 weeks and 3 hours from now, I and my granddaughter and some other folks will be departing for Israel, and we'll be spending the first week on an IDF base somewhere in Israel, and the second week we will be spending at an archaeological dig in Old City, Jerusalem, otherwise known as the Kavadi parking lot. Between times, we'll be touring around the country, led by Julia in her air-conditioned Wi-Fi Supreme bus. So we're looking forward to that exactly 2 weeks from now. And that shows us we are the first ones. The name of our group is Pioneers, because we are the first American group to visit and volunteer with the IDF in 2 years. So we're very proud of that. And we look forward to folks joining us later on in the spring and also in the fall to do their volunteer activity. The program has been listed on the VFI website looking forward, and they've listed volunteer weeks until the end of August, I believe. The website address is vfi-usa.org. Check it out, look for the schedule, and you can see the opportune times that you might be interested in volunteering. We are in discussion about season 4 of VFI Educates. This is season 3, which will end at the end of March 31st. And then there'll be some announcement as to what season 4 might look like going forward. If anybody has any unique ideas they want to present, we are open to all comers in terms of your thoughts and ideas on things we might be able to do. So that's our major announcements for today. At this point, I'd like to turn over to Julia for an explanation of where we are.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pamela, for being the co-host and supporter. And well, first of all, I would like to apologize, even though I believe Steve already did it, but I would like to do it again for the newcomers. As you know, we were supposed to have a presentation by a lawyer, Nitzana Darshan-Leitner, who is the CEO of the Israeli Law Center, which deals with Jewish rights and mostly rights of the settlers in the West Bank and other issues as well. So that was supposed to be the presentation, and personally I was really looking forward to it, but unfortunately Nitzana could not make it. She had to do something in Rosh Pina. Anyhow, her secretary called me the day before yesterday, and she said, sorry, she will not be able to do it. I don't know what was the emergency, but apparently something came up. So we will not have this presentation today, obviously. We will have it in 2 weeks from now, again, God willing. She promised to make the presentation for us in 2 weeks, which will be March 24th. I really hope that nothing will change, but there's nothing I can do about it. And next week, this is Purim, as you know, but the meaning of it, that there was no way I could find a speaker for this evening, because people want to, go celebrate or help their kids get ready for the party and something of that kind. And me personally, I will be doing, I'm not sure I'm going to go to a Purim carnival, but I'm going to do something which I did not do for the last 2 years. So I'm sort of excited, sort of worried. I will be guiding an American Jewish family, a real one in reality, okay? They're actually coming over for bat mitzvah of their daughter. So we will be touring for 8 days in a row. Real like traffic jams and parkings and all that stuff. So I'm not sure if I will be able to make a presentation. I don't know if I will have time to prepare a presentation. And so I was looking for another speaker, and there was not such a speaker. So the bottom line is that next week there will be no presentation. We will be celebrating Purim. Okay, I promise I will be thinking of you, and I wish you the best Purim ever. And we'll meet in 2 weeks, hopefully with Nitzana Darshan Leitner with the Shurat Din organization. And then we will make it to the very last presentation of the season, as Steve mentioned. And we will be going to the lowest, one of the most ancient, very famous, totally fascinating city of Jericho. So that will be the last presentation of the season, and then we will take a month off because of Passover, which is a long vacation, and then we will probably be back. I'm not 100% yet sure in what way, but there will be something to follow, so please stay tuned. And right now I want to start this presentation. Today we will be driving along the Jordanian border. We already explored the Lebanese border. Actually, we started with 1 day, and then I realized that the border is too long, so we actually spent 2 days, different presentations along the Lebanese border. And this time we will be traveling along the Jordanian border, which is even longer. And yet it's one presentation only. And as usual, I was, but we have to stop here. No, we have to stop there. No, that's way too long. And anyhow, so you will see what you will see this time, and maybe another, part of it. Anyway, the reason why I decided to take you over to this particular tour is because what you can see behind me, okay, right now behind me, my virtual background, this is a photo which I took today, literally like 4 hours ago. And this photo was taken by me, and this is the very end of our tour, the very end of our travel, virtual travel along the Jordanian border. We will be back to this, so I will not explain much right now, but I just want to say that what you see here behind me is very, very special because myself and other people on this group, you can see some of them behind me here, we are the first Israeli civilians ever to be there. I mean, this photo was not be possibly taken by me or any other non-military official before about 4 hours before now. Okay, so this is incredibly special, and since I knew that I'm gonna be there, today, so I decided that we will be, in a way, we will be touring together. Okay, so that was enough for introduction, and now let me. Okay, this is not what I want to share with you. Here. Okay, here we start. Can you see my screen along the Jordanian border with Julia Newman? Yes?
We're good.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve. Okay, by the way, it's pay as you wish, as always. That a week ago, if you remember, there was a presentation about the tzaddikim, about the righteous, and which was a very unusual topic, and I don't know if people actually liked it or not. Anyhow, there was one donation only. It never happened before, so I don't know if that was because people disliked it or any other reason. So anyhow, I hope this one will be better. So we will be traveling along the Jordanian border. We will start from the south. We will be driving from south to north. And therefore, we will have Jordan on our right-hand side constantly, and we will have Israel on our left-hand side constantly. Okay, and that's why we have the Israeli flag up here on the left, and we have the Jordanian flag up here on the right. This is the actual way we will see these two states. If you're not familiar with the Jordanian flag, so that's what it is. Okay, that's what it looks like. Please get familiar. So this is the longest Israeli border, as I said, and of course Israel is tiny little. The length of this border, the longest one, is 192 miles. That's it. It goes all the way from sea to sea and even a bit further. It starts down south at Eilat, at the Red Sea, and then it travels along the desert, along the so-called Arava Valley, and then the border crosses the Dead Sea, and then the border continues up north. This is the region between the northern end of the Dead Sea and almost the southern end of the Sea of Galilee. This is the Jordan Valley. Okay. Now I specify that it's almost because, as you will see later, the border does not actually continues all the way to the Sea of Galilee, to the Kinneret. It actually takes a right. Okay, but that's something to be discussed later. It's actually very important. It has to do with that photo behind me, which I'm so proud of. So we will be crossing the desert, the Dead Sea, the Jordan Valley, and then we will be traveling along the Yarmouk River. The Yarmouk River is exactly down here where the map of Israel sort of ends, on the right-hand side from the Sea of Galilee, and we will eventually make it all the way to the Borders Triangle. That's what it's called, the Borders Triangle, the spot where the Israeli, the Jordanian, and the Syrian borders meet. So, when did it all started? Okay, in a very, very brief again, introduction, the history of the Israeli-Jordanian border. The whole thing started back in 1921 when a border was made with actually, people drew the line to separate, oh, sorry, now I see I have a mistake here. It's not Jordan and Transjordan, sorry. It was supposed to be Palestine and Transjordan, okay? Sorry, it's not Jordan, it's Palestine and Transjordan. Transjordan is what is known today as the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, the country of Jordan, and Palestine, as the British named it, that's of course Israel, the land of Israel and the state of Israel. Now you see 4 people here. I don't know if you recognize these guys. Anybody? Who are these 4 people on these photos? Well, I guess you know at least one of them.
Faisal Churchill, Lawrence of Arabia, and who's the 4th? I'm not sure.
Okay, so Winston Churchill, right, is the second from left. Okay, and on his right-hand side, this is Laurence Olivier. Right, Lawrence.
No, not Olivier. Lawrence of Arabia.
No, Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah, sorry. Of course, Lawrence of Arabia. Yes, this is the guy here, and then we have 2 more. Okay, one on the right-hand side. This is the first British governor. This is
Herbert Samuel.
Herbert Samuel, right? Herbert Samuel.
The first British government, the first British authority here, and the guy on the left, very handsome, very well. I think he
Abdullah.
Noam. Well, this is Sheriff Abdallah. This is the Sheriff Abdallah. And he became the first Arab official, the first Arab ruler of Transjordan, later to become the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Now, these 4 officials met in this building, which some of you might know. This is one of these landmarks which you always see in Jerusalem. This is the Lutheran Church of Augusta Victoria on top of Mount of Olives. And this is where these four gentlemen met. And this is where they actually drew the line, which later became the border between us and the Jordanians. Back then, it was actually the separation, the border between two parts of the British Mandate. So it was not that important, but that's how it was started. And a few years later, in 1946, Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan declared independence. 2 years later, as you know, the State of Israel declared independence. Mazel tov to both countries. And needless to say, but I will mention it, the border between us and the Jordanians altered quite a bit. What you can see on your left-hand side, this is the map which draws the line of the West Bank. I mean, between 1948 and 1967, the 6 Days War, the border between us and the Jordanians was much, much longer and much, much more complicated. Okay, you can see all this kidney-looking thing. This is the West Bank. So that was part of Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. And then today, the border is much easier and much straightforward along the Jordan River. So we will be touring the present-day border, of course. So let's start driving. This is what the first part of our journey looks like. This is a Google Earth photo. And all you can see here is a desert. Okay, desert and desert and desert some more. At the very bottom, you can see a little blue patch, and then it says Aqaba. Aqaba is right across the border from Eilat, and we will be driving all the way up there along the Arabah Valley. Obviously, when we think of Eilat, when we start driving from Eilat, so we have to mention at least a few things. One are the corals, and the other one is the Red Sea, the beautiful beaches, the beautiful view, the beautiful mounts of Jordan and Egypt and Saudi Arabia, and there's the Dolphin Reef. We had another presentation about it a lot, so I will not say that much, but we have to keep in mind that this is exactly where the border starts. As we start driving up north, most of you, I mean, most Israelis and definitely most tourists never make it to this beautiful spot. But believe it or not, this photo with the flamingos, this photo was taken in Eilat, actually just a few kilometers outside of Eilat, next to the checkpoint through which you can, leave Israel and enter Jordan. And we have some salty, brackish pools out there with flamingos. We have them year-round. They arrived a few days ago, and in the beginning they stay just winter time, and then they would fly away. And after a while, they realized that actually we can stay here year-round. And so today there are flamingos year-round in the brackish pools right outside of Eilat. So next time you visit Eilat, make sure that on top of the dolphins and the corals, you also visit the flamingos. I think they're just gorgeous. And well, we start driving north. This is another spot which most of you, I believe, never made it to. And this is exactly the reason why I want you to be there, at least virtually. This is a tiny little natural reserve. It's tiny little, I mean, we call it the pot-size reserves. You see there is a little fence here, and behind the fence there are a few weird looking palms. Okay, palm trees. That's it. That's the reserve. That's all what it is there. Why do I take you there, at least virtually? Because this is a very special kind, very special species of palm trees. As you can see, they are very thin. The trunks are very thin. They are not straight as normally palms are. And the main difference is that if you recall the palms you ever saw, no matter where, so there will be only one tree. There will be one smooth, straightforward up there tree with well, some leaves up on top. But these palms, the dome palms, this is what they're called, they have branches. They actually are divided into few parts of the tree, as most of the trees do, but this is so unusual and abnormal for palms. So these palms grow in Africa, in Egypt, in Sudan mainly. And you know what's special about these trees here? Well, because this is as far north on the globe as it can be for these palms. I mean, nowhere in the world these palms grow northern than this spot. The entire world population of the palms is down below towards the south. We don't know how did they make it and why, and we know nothing about it, except of the fact that nowhere north than here you will ever see the dome palms. Okay, well, I think this is special enough. By the way, as you know, we have more and more population in Israel every year, and there's not enough fresh water to water the entire population. So we, the main solution is desalination of marine water and pumping of the aquifer, of the underground water. And because we pump and consume so much fresh water, so many springs had disappeared or grew smaller than they used to be in the past. And in quite a few occasions, quite a few areas in Israel, the roots of the trees are not long enough or not deep enough to reach the aquifer water. And exactly that happened to these poor, very special dome palms, and they started to die. They started to die, and the National Parks Authority realized a few years ago that if they will not artificially water them, if they will not irrigate them, so we will lose this very special and world-famous population of palms. So now these palms are artificially irrigated, and they are alive. Our next stop, and this stop actually deserves a very serious attention. We actually need a few hours to travel Timna Park, since we have to make it all the way up north, so we will not spend more than a few minutes. But just to introduce the Timna Park, in case you've never been there, this is an amazing geological natural formations park with sandstones of different shapes and different colors. So this pinkish thing in the middle with a beautiful girl next to it, this is called a mushroom. And it's a natural sandstone, red sandstone formation, more or less in the center of the park. And then on the right-hand side and down below, these are the so-called Solomon pillars. Again, sandstone, natural formation, but just a bit different color. And then white sandstone. And here on the left, this is a tunnel. This is an underground tunnel, which was chiseled in the ancient times by the locals. And we have the whole discussion who were these locals and why. But anyhow, we do know that this is part of a very complicated tunnel system, which was used to mine copper. So this is part of the famous King Solomon's mines, or King Solomon's copper mines. Quite long ago, we had a presentation by Professor Ben Yosef, who was telling us about his last discoveries in Timna and his understanding of the whole thing of mining of copper. A different, very interesting topic. And then there is a little artificial pool, which is called the Pool of Nehushtan, with a beautiful green color, really, really special because of the little amount of copper which is dissolved in this water. So this is the Timna Park. Again, you're welcome to spend here hours, and we will keep driving. our next stop will be Yotvata. Yotvata is a kibbutz. It is a place mentioned in the Old Testament, not as a kibbutz, of course, but as a location. It used to be a police station, a guarding spot, which was used by the Jordanians between 46 till 48. And then a kibbutz was established in the 60s. And this kibbutz was looking for a source of income, normally. And somebody suggested that they will have a cow shed and they will start milking the cow. And some people said, yeah, this is a good idea because we know that in the very dry conditions of the desert, the cows are healthier. They tend to be less sick. And then you don't have to use that much antibiotics, and so the milk will be healthier. On the other hand, desert is hot, is dry. The cows need more water, and then it is more pricey to make milk. Anyway, so they started this project, and after a few years, they discovered that somehow the milk is delicious. The milk is so much better than the usual Tnuva milk, which comes from cows up north and the center of the country. And it became a gold mine. It became the El Dorado of the South. So today, Kibbutz Yotvata produces milk and dairy products and chocolate and mocha and all sorts of yogurts and you name it, all types of dairy products. This is their symbol. Here on the right, you see the two date palms, and the red circle is the sun, of course, because of how hot it is. It's like crazy hot summertime. And then they opened a little shop, and then the little shop grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And after a while, it became like a must stop on your way to Eilat or on your way from Eilat up north, as we do. And anyways, each time you drive to Eilat, especially if you have kids, so you must stop there. And then there's this big black and white cows, plastic ones, of course. You can sit next to them, you can sit on them. I have like thousands of photos of my kids of different ages, sitting on these cows. I was trying to find a photo, I couldn't, but I have like so many. And then they have this delicious, amazing milkshake with whipped cream of the Yotvata milk, and it's just great. Okay, if you need a bit of cold and a lot of sugar, that's where you go. Okay, that's Kibbutz Yotvata. From here, we will be driving to another wonderful place called Chai Bar Yotvata. Chai is, what Chai is. Chai is alive, right? And Bar is Bar became a popular name for boys and girls, but actually Bar means wild. So Chai Bar is wildlife. It's a wildlife reserve next to Yotvata, so that's what it's called. It was established back in the 60s, and the idea was to raise in captivity, but a very loose captivity, like it's like a safari, a large safari in the desert right along the border with Jordan, and they have oryxes, these guys here on the right, and they have ostriches. And they also have wild asses, and they have, and this is the most important species, the Nubian oryxes. The Nubian oryxes, these guys, black and white, and horns, very straight, very long horns. In Hebrew, they are named Re'em. So if you know a guy whose name is Re'em, so this is it. And the oryxes, the Nubian oryxes, used to be very abandoned in the Negev desert, in the Arava Valley. Same is true for the wild asses. And at some point, they disappeared. People were hunting and not enough water, too many cars, different reasons. Anyhow, they disappeared. And then the National Parks Authority decided to raise them in captivity. And as soon as they have enough of them, start releasing them into the wild, a process which is called reintroduction. So the reintroduction, which started in late 90s, a friend of mine was involved in this process. In the late 90s, they started releasing the wild asses and the Nubian oryxes into the wild. So today we have quite a few wild asses. We have less oryxes, but we do have them in the wild. So this is a very successful project, very successful example of reintroduction, and they're just beautiful. So next time you drive to Eilat, you're welcome to visit the oryxes in the Chaibar. Next stop, since we have quite a few ladies in these programs, is a great place. I mean, it's just a great place to spend your money and get some cosmetics. It's called the Aloe Vera Farm next to Moshav Ein Yahav. They grow aloe vera. Again, you have to irrigate them just a little bit in the beginning. Afterwards, they make it on their own because these are original desert plants. As you know, aloe vera is considered to be good for everything, literally everything, and especially to make your skin feel better after being exposed to the sun, after being sunburned. So again, it's just a great place, and they have really good cosmetics. We keep driving north, and I've studied biology, I've studied zoology, so I love animals. This is the Crocoloco Farm. I don't know if you've ever been there, probably not. Obviously, the Crocoloco Farm, they grow crocodiles and alligators. Some of them are big, some of them are small. Most of them do nothing at all day long. But today we used to have a few crocodile and alligator farms in Israel. Today, this is the last one surviving because you might be familiar with the one in Hamat Gader, so it does not exist any longer. And there used to be another one in Fatsael, in the Jordan River. Anyways, so these crocodiles are the last crocodiles for you to visit, except of the safari in Ramat Gan. But since these guys, as I said, don't do that much, so we will not spend too long here. Let's keep driving. This is a relatively new park, really nice for little kids to splash around. You know, in the desert, you're always looking for a place to splash around. It's called the Nachal Amatziyahu Park near Neot HaKikar. We are almost at the Dead Sea. And well, the park itself is relatively new, but what is old and beautiful and really special are these very, very soft, very, very pale, almost white, dust, soft formations. The Hebrew name is Chavarim. Chavarim comes from the word chiver. Chiver is pale, literally. So we are talking about very, very pale, very soft, very moon landscape creating formations. And all of them used to be in the distant past, they used to be the bottom of the Dead Sea, when the Dead Sea was much bigger and less salty. So if you ever have a moment and you have a 4-wheel drive, so it is highly recommended to take a little detour, from this main road number 90, and just drive in this incredible formations. They don't look real. And I mean, even when you are there, you don't feel it's real. It's really like being on the moon. And because they're so pale and so bright, if you make it there on a full moon night, the reflection of the moonlight is so strong that you can actually read a book standing there. And this is a very special light and very special feeling. And therefore, this area is very popular among, the New Age people who connect to their energies, to connect to the external energies, who connect to their inner spirit and all that. We have meditations. We have some, I don't know, I would say, yeah, pagan ceremonies there. We have full moon parties. We have concerts. We have just, people and families who camp there during full moon to experience this amazing light. So all that takes place in between the Autokikar and all the way to Masada. So as we keep driving north, we will be passing Masada and the Dead Sea and Jericho. Okay, and each one of them, we were on Masada on one of the previous tours. I've already promised you to be in Jericho, and the Dead Sea, of course, was discussed more than once. So anyhow, and each one of them needs more than one presentation, and so I will say nothing about them. Okay, just not a word. We are passing them, and we keep driving. So as we pass the Dead Sea, we will reach the next part of our tour, and this is between Jericho. You can see it's Jericho on the bottom left side of the photo. Again, this is a photo from Google Earth. And we will be driving up north along the Jordan River, along the Jordan Valley. You can, you can see a little bit, some tiny green thing, okay, going all the way up north. This is the Jordan River, which originates in the Sea of Galilee, of course, up north. We will not be doing the whole thing. We will pass Beit She'an, and then we will take a ride along the Yarmouk, but that will be later. What we can see right now on this photo was made, well, summertime probably, so not much difference between the desert and the Jordan Valley, but yet there is more rainfall here. It's not as hot, even though it's very hot here as well. That photo here on the right was taken by me. It's another very special spot. I mean, whatever we saw up until now, these are things which I can recommend. You can visit. Everybody can visit. It's just a question of if you take the time. But this part here is not normally open to the public. Actually, it is open to the public only with a prior arrangement, only with a special license, and only for organized groups. And, it's not that easy. And therefore, I believe none of you ever saw this landscape. What you see here is the Jordan River. A few 100 meters away from the spot where it actually gets into the Dead Sea. So on this photo, you can see the deep canyon, a very surprising deep canyon of the Jordan River, and we are looking north on this photo. So the Jordan River comes from up on the photo, and then it flows along the canyon into the Dead Sea, and then the canyon gets smaller and less deep, and then another turn, another meander, that's what the turns are called, and the Jordan River disappears in the Dead Sea, and it dies, and that's the very end of the Jordan River. Unfortunately, this is a military restricted area, because you see the right-hand side of the Jordan River is Israeli, while the left-hand side of the Jordan River is Jordanian. And even though we have diplomatic relationship between us and the Jordanians, but yet, this is a border between the two states. And so you have to have a special license, you have to be accompanied by the military, and they are not very happy to let you in just because it gives them headache. So I was very happy that I was part of a group which got the permit. And this photo was taken a few weeks ago. Here on the right, you can see my pickup. This is my pickup. Very proud one. Parked right here where most pickups never made it. So Israel and Jordan and the end of the Dead Sea. And we keep driving a little bit north. This is another part of the same area, which is normally off limits to the public. And this is the so-called Abdullah Bridge. This is a bridge above the Jordan Valley, above the Jordan River. So you can see it, take a closer look. You can take another look from a little bit away. This is the bridge which used to connect Transjordan with Palestine, and then it used to connect Jordan with Jordan. I mean, this bridge used to be from Jordan, okay, into the West Bank. So before 1967, people would drive that bridge back and forth normally. And then after 1967, after the 6 Days War, this bridge was ruined and useless ever since. It is impossible to drive up on this bridge. And it's just a memorial, you know, it's sort of a sad memorial to something which was built. It was very difficult to build it, I guess, and it's abandoned. It's abandoned. It's a result of a war. And there is a war going on right now as we speak somewhere. You know. On the left, you can see a stone which marks the direction. It's a bit difficult to read, but what it said here in English, baptism of Jesus, right? That's what it says. Baptism of Jesus, traditional site. And then there is an arrow and it says 5 kilometers to the left. So this is a road sign from the Jordanian period. So let's drive. Just before we drive to the traditional baptismal site of Jesus, we will stop at the graveyard, a very small graveyard. As you can see, there are only 5 graves here. And this is the old graveyard of the old kibbutz, Beit HaArava, the house of Arava. Beit HaArava was founded in the 30s when the first Dead Sea factories, the Dead Sea factories producing minerals, mining minerals from the Dead Sea, were built by Moshe Novomeisky. And the people of Beit HaArava worked in these factories. The kibbutz was abandoned and people were evacuated back in 1948 during the Independence War. And then the location of Beit HaArava became part of Jordan, you know, and then kibbutz Beit HaArava was reestablished, but a bit west. So today we have kibbutz Beit HaArava live and kicking, and we have the old site and the old graveyard, which is behind the fence and off limits for most of the time. Right next to it, there are a few ruined and abandoned monasteries, but this is another story, fascinating story about ruined, abandoned monasteries. Just one thing, you know, I placed this photo because I don't know if you can see it, but maybe what you see here is a fresco on the inner wall of one of the churches of one of the abandoned monasteries there. And this is the Adam and Eve, which are forced to leave the Garden of Eden. You know, they were just kicked out after the sin. Remember that story with an apple? We don't know if it was indeed an apple, but there was a story of the forbidden fruit. And so they were forced out of the Garden of Eden. And the people of Beit Arava, when they were evacuated, when they were forced to leave because of the war, they described that they were forced out of the Garden of Eden. And, it just struck me. It's one next to the other. A church and this first sin, this fundamental sin, which lies at the basis of the entire Christian theology. And right next to it, we have the graveyard of Kibbutz Beit Arava. And everybody's talking about the Garden of Eden in this area. I don't know, there's really something very special about this land. So we keep driving. Dir Chajle, a Greek Orthodox monastery of St. Gerasimus. It's a beautiful spot. I mean, totally out of context. And, you should visit it sometimes in the future. And a courtyard of a monastery, you can get something to drink. You can sit down. You can rest. There is shade. There are parrots there. It's in the middle of the desert. Look at this cave. This cave was chiseled by the Byzantine monks 15 centuries ago. They chiseled a cave for themselves so they can spend time thinking of God and praying to Jesus. And this is Kasser El Yahud, the traditional baptismal site. This is the Jordan River. This group and ourselves, we are in Israel, of course, and right across the Jordan River, which is maybe 20 feet wide here, okay? On the other side, this is Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. The border is right in the middle. There is no border, but we have people getting baptized, Christians, of course, being baptized in the river of the Jordan River on both sides, because this is where Jesus was baptized. And in the normal year, not COVID year, we had millions of tourists there. And as we keep driving, we see palm trees and date palm plantations more and more. They're so beautiful. This is just the land of the date palm plantations. We will stop at Oren Farm in Kibbutz Nativ Agdud. They're specialized in, dates, of course, but they're more specialized in the so-called argan oil. And argan is some very special Moroccan plant, which makes oil which can be used for cooking and used for cosmetics. And, it is believed that it's good for everything in the world. And especially it is good for men and women who want to, have children, okay? So argan oil, very, very expensive. Oil is considered to be just amazing. We keep driving, and then we make it to the Jordan River in Old Gesher. Gesher is a bridge, okay? Actually, you can see two bridges right on this photo. There's one little bridge up in front, and there is a longer bridge with 5 arches here. There are the bridges over the Jordan River. One of them is Roman period and then Mamluk bridge, and the other one is Turkish Ottoman, which was used by the train. Anyways, there used to be a kibbutz, which was destroyed back in 48. Here, you can take a better look at the bridge, which still there. I mean, theoretically speaking, you could have crossed this bridge all the way into Jordan, but of course this is forbidden, so we're not going to do it. And it is an interesting place to visit. This is a bunker. This is a bunker with a few guns on display, which are similar to the guns which were used by the people of Kibbutz Gesher, protecting their kibbutz from the Jordanian and Iraqi army during the Independence War. One of the most difficult battles took place right here over Kibbutz Gesher across the Jordan River. They won. The kibbutz was never taken by the Jordanians, but nothing survived. There's only one structure, one building, which survived from the original kibbutz. And when the war was over and the people realized that they don't have to fight any longer, they did not want to come back. Can you imagine the trauma? People who fought over their houses, they won, but now they would rather leave. We have a few other examples like this when people won the battle, but they did not want to come back. So Kibbutz Gesher, we do have Kibbutz Gesher today, but it is not located in the same spot. It's located some half a mile west. So this place is Old Gesher. And this place is right next to, well, what you can see on these photos does not exist any longer. But these are structures and a system of canals which let the structure, which is down here on the right-hand side photo, to operate. And this is the power plant. The one and the only hydroelectric power plant which was ever in Israel. Let's watch a little movie. Okay, in 1990, this gentleman, Pinchas Rothenberg, arrived to Israel. He was an electric engineer, and he convinced Chaim Weizmann, and he convinced Baron Rothschild, and he convinced King Abdallah, and he convinced the British to let him build the first ever hydroelectrical power plant, which will use the water of the Jordan River and the Yarmouk River right here, because this is where these two rivers meet. This is where he believed he will have enough water to make the power plant work. And it worked indeed. It worked until 1948, and then it was ruined, part of the war, as always.
אנו זרם, היי, אנו זרם, אנו מרד, אנו זרם של חשמל. נחשמל, היי, היי, נחשמל את כל הארץ מהרשת וחזר. עליה בשט, קובענו נבנית הרשת. תחומה, הקם עמוד, ארץ מבדיל ומתחפות. כל דבר רוקד בים ובמרץ עד יזיע מצבה נקילה.
זהו מפעל החשמל הגדול מכל המפעלים הציוניים שנבנו טרם.
Okay, so that was just a little bit. These were real photos from when the power plant was built and then used. Two neighborhoods were created for the workers. They had the best life. And this is the house of Pinchas Rothenberg, the old man from Naharaim, who had his White House. That's what it was called. And this is where Golda Meir met King Abdallah of Jordan when she was trying to convince him not to participate in the independence war. As we know, she did not succeed, and Jordanians did participate in the war. But there is that's a special connection between Naharaim, the two rivers, the place where the power plant was built, and the military history, and Golda Meir as well. So that's what it is there today. I mean, these are the ruins visible today, the ruins of the power plant. People who were born in this neighborhood built for the workers, they still remember, I mean, these are old people today, but they still remember their very happy and careless and worry-less childhood, because their parents worked, their parents made a lot of money for these days, and because Rothenberg took very good care of them, and then they were forced out of their Garden of Eden. Once again, this is again an expression I heard from them. Right next to it, there is a restaurant, very nice, well-known restaurant named Rothenberger, after Pinchas Rothenberg, the founder of the power plant. So again, if you're hungry, this is a great place for you to have lunch or dinner. Right next to this place, and this is a totally different story, the memorial, the 7 Girls Memorial at Naharaim. You can see names. If you read Hebrew, you can see that it says Mirit, red flowers, Mirit. And here we have the Adi and Keren. And there were 7 girls who were on a school trip in Naharaim. And then a Jordanian soldier from a nearby hill started shooting. I don't know if you recall this event. It was very tragic. It was very traumatic. It was back in 1997 when the peace agreement with Jordan was very young, and people were not sure. At least in Israel, people were not sure that the peace will survive it. But the peace survived, and we have this beautiful memorial made of flowers for the 7 girls. So here you see this red star. This is Naharaim. This is the spot where the 2 rivers, the Jordan River and the Yarmouk River, meet. The Jordan River is bigger and mightier, but the Yarmouk River is here as well. They joined forces, and then they created the power plant of Naharaim and the rest of the Jordan River. And this is where the border between Israel and Jordan actually does not follow the Jordan River any longer, but rather the Yarmouk. So now we will take a right, and now we will drive along the Yarmouk. Well, there is no road which let us do that, okay? But theoretically speaking, we should have followed the Yarmouk River. Since there is no road, we will keep driving up north. We will hit Tzemach, and then we will take a right. And we will start driving along the Yarmouk River, and then we will see the bridge. This is the bridge over the Yarmouk, which was ruined back in 1946 in the so-called Night of the Bridges, when the Jewish forces ruined many bridges around the land of Israel as part of the struggle against the British mandate. So it is one of the bridges of the huge, long railway system, which is known as the Hijazi railway system, which was built by the Ottoman Empire in order to connect Damascus with an area in Saudi Arabia, which is known as Hijaz. And this is where Mecca and Medina are located. So we just take a look downhill. We will see this ruined bridge, and then we will make it to Hamad Gadir, very famous, very hot, a bit smelly, very healthy, very well-known resort. These are mineral spring water, natural thermomineral water. You have pools here. We used to have alligators farm here. It doesn't exist any longer, but it's a lot of fun. There is a hotel there. And this would normally be the end of the tour, because this is as far as, civilians can just make it. But today is a special day, and therefore we will keep driving. Again, there is no road, so you have to make it uphill, downhill, but eventually you will make it to here. This is the photo which you see behind me. This is the same photo now you see in front of you. And this photo is taken at a spot which is where the border between Israel and Jordan and Syria meet. This is the triangle. On this photo, this is a photo of Google Maps on the left. You can see the main river, the main blue river. This is the Yarmuk. And then there is a tiny little one which can hardly be seen, which takes a left. Okay, if you don't see it, that's fine. It's like tiny little. But the tiny little one is called the Rokad, and the Rokad is the border between Israel and Syria. So on the photo in front of you and behind me, we are looking south, and we are facing the green slopes of Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. The little water down below, this is the Yarmuk River. And now we take a closer look. That's, by the way, that's me. And two of my former students in the tour guides course. We met in this tour and we were like, hey, what are you doing? Yeah, hey. So that's us. We're very happy. And right in front of you, you can see another little bridge made of 4 arches. And this is another bridge which has to do with the same railway system I mentioned before, the Hijazi railway system. And then we just turn around and we take a look. Now we are looking north, and you can see a fence. I hope you can see a fence. And then you can see something which is a combination of a fence and a water dam. And then there is another fence. That's it. This is the border between Israel and Jordan and Syria. Now, actually, as we all of us always do, we, the state of Israel, we build the fence a bit into our territory, just to be on the safe side. So even though there is a fence and there is no way we can cross the fence, we on this special, very special tour, we were not allowed to cross the fence, but officially, even on the other side of the fence, this is still Israel. There is still a little bit of the Israeli territory. So we will get closer to the fence. Okay, now you can see what I meant by a combination of fence and a dam. Okay, this is the Yarmuk River. And on the other side, on the right-hand side of the fence, this is Jordan. So these soldiers you see are Israeli soldiers. This is the Yarmuk River, the border between Israel and Jordan. So we were not allowed to touch the water. You know, it was really funny, but we were specifically told not to touch the water because that will be the violation of the diplomatic agreements or whatever. Okay. And on the other side of the Yarmuk River, these are the Jordanian soldiers. Okay, we have an Israeli soldier here. We have the 2 Jordanian soldiers up above across the river, and well, there is no checkpoint, no passports with us, so we could not visit Jordan. And this is the last photo I took through the fence, through the barbed wire. Very symbolic, you know, that's our reality. Unfortunately, this is their reality in Israel. Fences and barbed wires. So as I told you, the fence is not the official border. It's only as far as we as civilians can go. So this little hill in front of you, this is still Israel. While the other hill just a bit above it, this is already Syria. And the tall one on the right, this is Jordan. That's it. A fence and protection. And, you know, we don't see it, but on this little green slope, which is still officially Israeli, there was a shepherd and goats, which were Syrian, and they were not protected, and they did not need soldiers, and they felt secure. And, you know, I wish I wish we could all go there and explore. There's an archaeological site, there are some ponds, and it's a beautiful place. But we were privileged enough to be able to stand there so close to the border and take this photo. So I'm very glad to share it with you. So thank you all for joining me. And we even have a pale rainbow. Can you see it? And you know, a rainbow is a symbol of forgiveness. It is a symbol of peace. It is a symbol of hope, and we are hoping for the peace for the world, Ukraine and Russia and Syria and all of us. So thank you for joining me. It was a long tour. Okay.
Well, thank you, Julia, for that 7,000 miles away. Long walk.
Yeah.
That's great. I wonder, Pamela, maybe you can help with the questions and Julie can answer them.
I don't. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, Julie's usually good about reading too, but there
Yeah,
are a couple. Julia, I have a quick question first, though.
Yeah.
First of all, there were no problems taking pictures when you were up there at the three borders. They didn't.
No,
the
no
guards
problem.
didn't-
If you are allowed to be there, so you can take photos. No problem. We actually had a meeting. I mean, the chief commander of the Golani brigade, who is in charge of this area, he met us there and he was talking to us and said that no problem, you can take my photos, no problem, but don't record. I don't know why. So we could not record his talk, but we could take photos of himself and the surroundings.
And also, you said it was a special kind of tour. What was
It is the first of its kind. Yeah, it's the first time ever.
was it just with other tour guides or what?
No. It was a tour. The whole initiative, the whole thing was organized by the Kinneret Academic College. They had a conference, an academic conference. They had different presentations regarding different aspects of the area, and somehow I think it's all about personal connections. Okay, I don't really know, but that was my feeling. Somehow they knew somebody, and that somebody managed to convince the commander of the brigade to let the two buses of the participants of the conference to get to the border. I don't know why, but we were told a few times that this is a very special event because this is the first time ever. He said that he is willing to consider let other people in, and maybe, once upon a time, there will be some procedure, and who knows. But
Okay.
it was the first time.
Well, there are some questions. Mark, if you go back towards the beginning, Mark, well, first of all, Matthew said that Julia and VFI make my Thursdays.
Yeah,
I know we all agree to that.
Thank you so much.
Mark says, isn't there evidence that Egypt was mining at Timnah in ancient times?
Yeah.
Is there evidence?
Well,
of
this
that?
is exactly okay. This is exactly the question. I mean, okay, wait. It is a very complicated and very much disputed subject. Okay, some archaeologists, some historians claim that the mining was made by the Egyptian rulers, the pharaohs. Others believe that it was not made by the Egyptians, but rather by the local rulers, the local people, the Canaanites. Some believe that it belonged to the pharaoh, but it was made by the local workers. Some believe that we're talking about different time frames and then different people working there. It's a very complicated subject because we know that mining was performed for a very, very long period of time. We do know that there is an Egyptian temple dedicated to goddess Hathor. Okay, we do know that for sure. But does it mean that they were the first ones? Does it mean that they were the only ones? Does it mean that they were the owners, but they did not actually work? Okay, it's complicated. If you are interested in the subject, so I suggest that you look for the presentation made by Professor Ben Yosef exactly on this topic, and it should be on the VFI Educate's list of previous presentations. Okay, he will explain it so much better than me.
Harry asked, yeah, you can see Harry asked a question. You see his?
Not yet.
Was this tour, okay, the tour that you were on, where was it? Where did it go from?
The bus left from Kinneret Academic College, which is located at the very southern end of the Sea of Galilee. And then we drove up to the Golan Heights, and then we crossed that fence. I mean, they opened the gate for us, and then we drove downhill all the way to the Yarmouk River. So we were actually the spot where I am on the photo behind me is about 6, maybe 7 miles northeast from Hamad Gadir. Okay, so that's a bit northeast from the southern end of the Sea of Galilee.
Okay, because Harry was wondering how you managed to do the whole entire tour, starting down from Eilat all the way up in a few hours.
Oh,
so.
No. I did not go to Eilat today. No, I drove to the Sea of Galilee, which is an hour 15 from where I live. And then we had a tour for about, I don't know, maybe 3 hours all in all. And then the problem was on my way back because there was an accident. So I spent over 2 hours driving back home, and I was sort of, I was worried, what if I will not make it on time? But I had plan B, so it was okay. No, I did not go to Eilat for sure. Okay, I see that Averell Golub says the caves remind me of the caves the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. Well, not exactly, because I guess you're talking about the tunnels, the caves which were made as part of the copper mines. So those of the copper mines, they're artificial. They're artificial, and they're relatively narrow, and they're parallel to the ground. They're underground, but they're horizontal. While the caves where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, they are either totally natural or natural plus, chiseled and enlarged. But they're not tunnels. They're actually big caves. Okay, Harry. Okay, of course. How long did the tour take in the real time? I never.
No, that's what we just talked. That's what we were just talking about.
Okay, yeah. So I'm sure you never heard of such a tour before because it never existed. Okay, any plans to rebuild the hydroelectric plant as it is green and constant? Yeah, well, no, the answer is no, for a few reasons, okay? One reason, I don't know which one is the main reason, okay? One reason is that the power plant itself is in Jordan today, okay? It was built on the east side of the Jordan River, and so the power plant is in Jordan, while the water supply system, the canals and all that is in Israel. So it's a bit politically problematic. On top of that, back then, in order to be able to use the power plant, you needed a lot of water. So the entire water flow from the Jordan River and the Yarmouk River was used for that. Today, we cannot afford that much water because most of the water is stored in in the Kinneret, in the Sea of Galilee, because the water which, flows down the river and makes it to the power plant will flow further downhill into the Dead Sea, and then it will be lost. So that's something we want to avoid because we need that water. Second, the Yarmouk River, which used to be another major source of water, hardly exists. I mean, you saw this tiny little stream on one of the photos in the presentation with this fence. And that's because the Syrians need the water and the Jordanians need the water. So we have water reservoirs along the Yarmouk River upstream. So the amount of water in the Yarmouk today is almost nothing. Okay, you need to let it work. Okay, Alvin, can you comment on the fate of the island of peace? Yes. Well, hey, Carol and Barry, I can see you very well now. I don't know, somehow you are right in front of me. Okay, so what happened to the island of peace? Okay, again, without getting too deep into geographical history, but the island of peace was Jordanian. Okay, was Jordanian, and the Jordanians let us, the Israelis, the farmers, the Israeli farmers, to work and cultivate the land of the island of peace. And that was leased for 25 years, and everybody assumed that this leasing agreement will be, renewed forever and ever. And then the Jordanians decided not to renew it because they were so angry because part of the Israeli-Jordanian peace agreement was the amount of water Israel will give the Jordanians. And we never actually kept our promise. And so as a result, as sort of a punishment, the Jordanians decided not to renew the lease agreement of the Island of Peace. And so we have to withdraw our, not forces. We did not have forces there because it was still officially Jordanian, but our farmers, our farming equipment, and so on. And so today the Island of Peace is Jordanian only. Prior to that, it was like a tourist attraction because it was a Jordanian land. There was a Jordanian flag. There was a special gate. There was a Jordanian soldier standing there, and then groups would cross and visit the Island of Peace, and they issued special fake passports, and you will get your fake passport stamped as if you were in Jordan, which, officially you were. Anyhow, people really liked it, and then the Jordanians decided to take it back.
Is it true that the land is actually Jewish owned?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know if it is. Maybe. I don't think so. Frankly, I don't think so, because as far as I understand, this is part of the land which was leased by Rothenberg from Abdallah as part of the whole, agreement for the power plant. So I don't think it is Jewish owned. Maybe. We do know that there are some lands in Syria which belong around Rothschild.
Yeah, it was like a no man's land.
Do about it. I mean, I don't think we should start a war against the Jordanians or Syrians or whoever it is in order to get these lands back, if indeed they belong to the Jewish nation. But
I think that you have to get a visa to go there, and Israel saying, we just don't want to get a visa from Jordan to go there.
No, it's not about the visa. It's about these are Jordanian lands according to the peace agreement, and the Jordanians want them. That's it. That's the peace agreement. This is part of the peace agreement between Israel and Jordan. So, we are supposed to keep our.
Really long.
Typical.
I mean, the Peace Island is a very famous issue, but there was another land which had exactly the same situation, a land which is down south next to Kibbutz Tzofar, which is about halfway between the Dead Sea and Eilat. Anyhow, there was another plot of land which was Jordanian, and the Jordanians let the people of Tzofar to work and cultivate the land. That was part of the peace agreement, and then the Jordanians did not renew the contract again for the same reason. Okay, is the only bridge blown up on the night of the bridges that was not rebuilt? Oh no, there are quite a few other bridges which were blown up and not rebuilt. This bridge was not rebuilt because the British authorities, didn't bother. And later it was a non-existing bridge between two countries which became enemies, Israel and Jordan. So who would rebuild it and why? But there were quite a few other bridges. Good fences make good neighbors, Robert Frost. Okay, thanks. Okay. Explain חברים white rocks. What do you mean, Esther? What do you mean explain חברים near white rocks?
You're muted, Esther.
Hello? Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Yep.
Yeah, you mentioned the word chavarim, and
Right.
I don't remember what you said it meant. And then there were pictures of white
Rocks. Yeah.
White
Okay.
rocks.
Right. Okay. So what I said, we have an area which has a special geological formation of these very white, very soft rocks, and this is what you saw in the photo. Okay, and the name of this area and the geological formation is Chavarim. Chavarim. Okay, it's the name of the area and the formation. The word Chavarim comes from the word chiver, and chiver in Hebrew means pale. So chavarim are the pale ones, the pale formations. Okay. I hope it is more clear. Okay, so no, back to the Peace Island. So no peace on the Peace Island. Well, I would say there is just the same amount of peace as anywhere else in Jordan. The Peace Island just became part of Jordan. So, like, is there peace in Amman? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yes, there is peace. It just doesn't have anything to do with us any longer. All right. Oh, nice. Ran out of questions. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to add something, share something, you are welcome to unmute yourself. And,
Julia?
yeah, hey, Carol.
Hi. Two things. Nitzana Darshan Leitner, who you said could not make it today. If any of you can possibly be here when she's on, she's my heroine. She is an amazing woman. She's a lawyer. She's an attractive woman. She has, I think, 6 children, which amazes me.
That's right.
She has done miracles as far as the law and justice are concerned, and try not to miss her.
I will do my best. I really hope that she will not miss me. I mean, I will be there. I hope she will be there.
I could. The other thing was in 1992 when we worked at Shan, which was sponsored a program that VFI organized. We stayed at Karupin, a kibbutz right on the Jordanian border. And we were warned several times not to go near the fence because there were still mines in the ground and they hadn't all been cleared. And there were soldiers patrolling up and back on the fence. It was really very real and a wonderful experience.
Yeah. Well, today it's very much different because 1992 is before the peace agreement. Today, you know, we had diplomatic relationship for a long while, and you know, this is one of the reasons why it was so strange and so annoying, I would say, to be there today, because you know, we were surrounded by soldiers. We were so much protected and guarded, like overwhelmingly protected, and I've been to Jordan 9 times. I was traveling, I was hiking, I was, I spent a lot of time in Jordan all in all, and I felt fully secure and protected. And I didn't understand, and I still don't understand why they needed to protect us so much. You know, we literally had a battalion with us. And I was hiking on my own, and I didn't feel threatened at all.
I would just take that.
I have a question. I have a comment to make. I listened to a briefing from the soldiers up in this triangle from Friends of the IDF, and they said shepherds were not as benign as you think they are. They're paid money by the Syrians and Jordanians to report on their movements and so on. So they're having to be very careful to change things all the time. And they do have people who have been snipers who have shot at people on the border. So I'm glad you were feeling very well protected.
Thank you, Gail. Yeah, actually, I felt too much protected. I would rather have less soldiers around me, but okay, obviously it's not my decision, and I guess the military commanders had good reason to do what they're doing.
Why don't you
Well,
again,
Julia, go on, Steve.
yeah, just why don't you again review the schedule going forward. Next week is a bye week, and then we have that.
And then we have Shabbat Kadin. Hopefully, the presentation we missed today. And then we have Jericho, one of the oldest cities in the world, and definitely the lowest city in the world. And this is one of these places which you don't normally visit. I mean, you as several volunteers, and actually most tourists coming to Israel, they don't visit Jericho. I'm not sure why, but this is a pity. This is a very interesting place. There is Elijah Spring. There is the monastery. There is Tel El Sultan, which is the location of ancient Jericho, the archaeological site. There is the Armon Hisham, the palace of Hisham, which is an incredible palace and bathhouse and mosque. And this is the whole complex from the early 8th century AD, and the views of the plain, and I don't know, it's just amazing. So we will be going there virtually, and hopefully those who will come to Israel, you will be there in real, So and that will be March 31st. So that will be the last program of the season, and then we have April off, and then we will do something. As I said, I'm not yet sure what, but I hope you will join us in 2 weeks and then in 3 weeks, and we'll celebrate Purim in between.
Yes.
Great. Well, I wanted to thank you, Julia, because I think that considering you just had to throw this whole presentation together Since you just found out at the last minute. I think this was great, even though it's a lot of places that maybe a lot of us have been to going along, up north, but, as you go from Eilat towards the north, but the way it was all put together, I thought it was just beautiful. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I hope there were some new places even for you, Pamela, even though
Absolutely.
Have
Definitely.
you been to Rocco Loco? Have you been to
No, I
the
haven't. No, I didn't see the alligators there. I saw the other ones, the old ones.
Yeah. Did you see the palm trees?
The palm trees, yes.
Yeah, you did see that?
The
Flamingo?
forest.
Yeah,
The
well,
flamingos. I don't think
fairly
so.
well known, but Pamela actually is one of those shepherds up there and on the side. And
Right. That's where I'm taking you when you come here, Steve. Up to the mountains.
ooh, great. Well, thank you very much, Julia.
Thank you.
Hit a home run today, and
Anyway.
just-
Well, thanks, Julia.
yeah, just want to apologize again that the announced speaker had to modify her schedule, and she does have a website which has a lot of interesting stuff in it. I don't have it in front of me, but maybe you remember the name of it, Julia.
Sorry, I was not listening.
Her organization is Shirat Hadin.
That's right.
Shirat
Shirat Hadin.
It means shura is a line, and din is the law, is the legal.
Legal.
Yeah. So shurat din is the legal line. It's like the legal bottom line. The idea is that they are trying to make a statement. They are trying to make a bottom line, which will be legal, and which will be, on our side.
Right.
Favor.
She wrote a book which is mentioned on the website, and the book describes, among other things, some involvement she had with Mossad, where Mossad encouraged her organization to pursue legal means to disturb the finances of Syria, of Hezbollah, all the bad guys. And apparently they've had some significant success, either extracting money or creating major legal problems for these organizations. It'll be an interesting talk. Very novel.
She also stopped one or two of the boats that were coming from Turkey, I believe, years back, with all kinds of cargo that we didn't want coming to Iran or to Jordan or to Gaza. She did that by getting the insurance companies that insured the boats a little nervous about that activity, and she stopped them.
Brilliant. Yeah, should be good. Should be good. All right. Well, Julia, thank you so much again. Laila Tov.
Great, Laila Tov. Thank you. Thank you all for coming, and see you in 2 weeks.
Julia.
Today was wonderful. Today was wonderful.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Oh, I didn't see you for a while.
Fabulous as usual.
Thank you, Barry.
Outstanding.
Great. I'm real happy. It was a short notice for me, and I'm glad I succeeded. And this
don't apologize. You gave us a wonderful time.
It's very good.
The fact that I was actually there. I mean, I'm still so excited about the triangle. It happened today. It actually happened today. Okay. Thank you all. להתראות.
Thanks.
Laila Tov.
Laila Tov. Okay, we shall now enter into official schmooze mode. And